Hello, comic book readers, and welcome to a new live episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
Of course, this show is live here on youtube.com/ComicPop Returns. If you want to help us out, you can always like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications so you know when we're going live, which is usually around 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday evenings. And this is your favorite comic book review show where we take comics in the past week, recap them, review them, tell you what we thought about them, and then recommend comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out. And boy, a lot of books to talk about today. We're going to try and keep it to the usual time, which is about an hour. So we'll see how that works out.
No way.
But if you want to watch this show, of course, if you want to help us out more directly, you can do so by sponsoring today's show by using Super Chats. As a question or comment, we'll read it here on the show. It'll be part of the show forever. And you'll be like the third member of the podcast. Yeah. And if you're watching the show after the fact, of course, couldn't hurt to just give us a like. That's it. And if you're listening, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever podcasts are found. And yeah, so that's it.
Hooray!
You know what I just realized?
What? What did you just realize?
Let's see. No, it's there. Okay. Never mind.
Amazing.
Yep. All right. So a bunch of books. But before we do, one of those, we also talk about news and reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We also have a book of the week.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about Uncanny X-Men #1. Yet another first issue debut from the post-Krakoa era of X-Men.
Yep.
And the more interesting thing, I think, the topic to talk about specifically is about that weird QR code that came up at the end of the issue. If you were reading X-Men, you were like, all right, I read the issue. Basically, I got everything. And then, boom, this QR code pops up. And you're kind of like, wait, what? And actually, it just occurred to me that I can't even share the QR code because it is deliberately invented to combat piracy. And if I were to post an image of the QR code,
we don't want to be
we
accused.
would give the page away. And while they do kind of deserve it, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to be accused, like you said, of suggesting that we're trying to advocate for piracy of any kind.
Right.
But yeah, so what's up with the QR code? Where did that come? Why was it there? What was that all about?
Right.
Tiffany, what did you notice when you first read the issue of Uncanny X-Men? Did you see the QR code?
No.
You did not see the QR code.
I didn't even notice it.
You didn't even notice it.
Well, because let's be honest, I buy my books through Amazon Comixology,
Right.
Comixology, Amazon, Kindle, whatever you want to call it. That's where I buy my books.
Fair.
And that's how I read my books. Like, I have my Kindle library on my phone.
Right.
And I go through them that way, right?
Mhm.
For the most of them.
Yeah.
So when the book is over, the book is over for me and I move on.
Of course. That's and that's the case typically with digital. Digital, that only is that's one of my only qualms with digital is you don't really revisit too often. It's just kind of there. You know, you read it and you're like, all right, I've moved.
No, I revisit, but I don't necessarily maybe explore some of the ads in the back.
No, it's rare that when anyone would do that.
Yeah, so just kind of moved on.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about it. Like, my brain recognized that I guess there was... Actually, I don't even know. I honestly don't even know.
You didn't even think about it.
I didn't even think about it. Didn't even think about it until you mentioned it. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And then we got this QR code. Well, so apparently rumor was, because I remember when the issue dropped, a lot of hot debate about it on online, mostly on Reddit and Twitter and stuff like that. People were like, whoa, what is up with this QR code? And people immediately kind of like jumped to the conclusion that Tom Brevoort, mastermind behind the new era of X-Men and Grand Poobah over at Marvel, clearly under C.B. Cebulski, despite the fact that every decision that's made at Marvel seems to be attributed to Tom Brevoort, not C.B. Cebulski.
Sure.
Both good and bad. But people were like, Brevoort's screwing up again. What's up with this? But so what was the deal? You got a chance to look at one of these articles about it where they were talking about the QR code. Tom Brevoort was responding to some of the criticism.
I actually don't know what the deal was. I just saw someone's angry tweet at him. Because honestly, here's what happened. Sal was like, brings this thing up and then goes to finish. Actually, we heard a noise outside. So we went to go check that noise. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, he's like, it's to prevent piracy.
That was the rumor that it was meant to prevent the last page reveal spoilers.
Right. So then but my problem is that if that were the case, let's just say that were the case. That really only services the physical reader.
Yeah.
Like
Which is what he only regards them.
I purchased this. I gave my money
Right.
to Amazon, who Marvel has agreed to host books with. I gave my money to them. I am renting this book. I actually am I'm losing more in a way.
Yeah.
Like I'm gaining space in my house. Yeah.
Right.
But I don't own it. I'm really just renting it.
Exactly.
I'm renting the right to read it. So you're really making more off of me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't use this QR code without having to get another screen.
Right. That's right.
Which, like, so even if it has nothing to do with, like, if it has anything to do with piracy,
yes,
all right, fine. But like the rest of the small percentage of digital readers out there, like you just basically told us to go screw off. It's like,
yes,
I don't love that.
Right.
If it has nothing to do with piracy and you just thought like, what a fun thing to do. This is just bonus content. Isn't that fun? Again, you still told the digital reader, screw you.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I just need it's like another step. It's just another step.
Yes.
And I don't
need that.
I don't need another step.
Well, especially when it's like, if you ever want people to read comic books, you need to remove steps to get them into the hands of anybody.
Yeah.
And so you're just adding another weird thing. It's not even a thing that is second nature to innate comic book fans. It's just something that you're doing. And I mean, at the very least, worst case scenario here, or rather best case scenario in this worst case, is that it's generating discussion. People are talking about the Uncanny X-Men comic book.
No, I'm not.
And about that. Well, we are right now.
And
it generated some buzz.
I'm specifically only talking about the QR code.
Right.
Like, this is not call into any, like,
no.
Like, it has nothing to do with the book it was in. You could have put it in any book and I still would have been like, why would you do that?
Why would you do that? It's weird. It's weird. Yes.
Like, I understand if it's like part of like a viral marketing campaign, you know, where you're trying to like generate hype or, you know, I guess that's on my mind because when we were at San Diego, I ended up picking up, I don't have it with me, but I ended up buying the new Bill Cipher book that they put out. And like part of the whole book, first of all, it is not for children. So if you have children and you are yourself a fan of Gravity Falls, do not get them this book. This is not for them. This is for you.
A little too intense.
It's for you, adults.
Yeah, it's a reward for having been a fan.
Yeah, do not share this with your children. But you know, part of that book, regardless of what ends up happening posted, is that like Bill's like, there are no codes in this book. Don't worry about it. But there clearly are.
There very much.
Like,
there are a lot of ciphers in that book.
The whole book is codes and ciphers and all of that, like potentially hinting at something to come.
Right.
And like, there you go. Right. There's an optional bit of something there.
Yes. But you still get the book.
You get the book, but like that's optional stuff.
Yes.
If you're going to tell me that this QR code leads to like a true end page, that's trash.
Yeah.
Then like that's not an optional thing.
Oh yeah.
That's like you're telling me like, oh well, you better figure out how to read this, or you knew. Like,
yeah. I don't know.
I don't like.
And I don't know if they. I mean,
that's not very inclusive.
I think originally it was implied that it was going to be like the true ending of the issue, but I think that was mostly just hyperbole from the audience, who was kind of confused because there was very little to prepare the audience for it, because it just kind of like it's a hot book, it's a big issue, and then this thing appears.
Sure.
And the other thing is, you know, comic book fans tend to be tired of being guinea pigs for the big two's weirdo decisions, and I can imagine just seeing that and going like, well, let's nip this in the bud right now with some reaction. You know what I mean? Immediately being like, yo, the first, like, I remember there are long boxes throughout the landscape that are filled with comic books with a little AR logo in the corner, forever dating and ruining that comic book. And look, is the AR augmented reality? The idea was like, you know, we're in the digital age here. You're looking at this comic book. Sure, of course, for the last 100 years, you've been reading your comic books. But like now that we have cell phones and comic books, because obviously no one would be reading a comic book on a cell phone, you use your cell phone, you get the Marvel app, obviously, which will of course track your data and collect all your information. But you'll use the app and then you can look at the page and you can see the pencils from the page. Whoa! Like, and all it did was pollute your comic book with this little weird logo right over the art. You know what I mean? Yes, it was a negligible corner. It's a small, non-invasive thing, but like, yeah, that would be like having half the page of your comic book be a Twix ad, or the front cover of seminal issues of Marvel Comics having this big, ugly Toys R Us sweepstake banner over the top. Like the comic book industry is loaded with dated, weird, intrusive, terrible references to cash grabs or attempts at being currently relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Boo. So it's like, yeah, you know what? Is the QR code essentially the Toys R Us win a bike sweepstakes of our time? Who's to say? Time will tell.
Right.
All I know is it was ugly then. It's ugly now. Tom's reactions are not very PR friendly, let's say, based on the collections. Of course, our good friends over at Bleeding Cool. We love those guys. But they mentioned that they collected a couple of people's responses. For example, here's an insightful and measured response to Tom Brevoort. F you and your BS QR codes. I just canceled all my Marvel comics because of your stupid idea. Hope you get fired. Big fan. And Tom Brevoort says, I really need to give you proper points. This is a funny note. On the other hand, if you're demanding people get fired and left destitute and homeless because they gave you bonus material, but you don't like the way in which it was done, then I'm sorry, your priorities might be a little bit askew. But you do you, baby. And it's like,
So,
okay.
hang on. You missed the actual funny part of that person's review, because that's the one I read.
Yes.
The rest of that review indicates that that Brevoort
become homeless.
Should be fired, become homeless, and then when he goes to get food at the soup kitchen, he has to scan a QR code to do it.
Soup. Yes. So obviously, if you're going to go on the internet, you're going to be getting a cogent, rational conversation. Maybe just don't respond to it. But at the same time, it's like, is that a hyperbolic, broad justification of an actual, maybe legitimate complaint? Perhaps. Who's to say? But
it would be more powerful if you had more measure.
Yeah, but then Brevoort would never responded to.
I guess.
And that's the problem we have in our discourse today.
But if he's only looking at those responses, then he's gonna think to himself, "Well, I'm right. These people.
I'm right. They're insane. I'm dealing with crazy people.
Yeah, these people clearly are just like not here to actually be critical or to have critical thinking. They're not
able or capable or interested in having a conversation, a measured, rational conversation.
Right.
Well, maybe he should have started one by saying, here's an idea we're tossing out there, or maybe do what many companies do but Marvel never does, which is called market research.
Well, and I think this is like on both sides of the field here, where it's like people who are critiquing this and yelling about it, it's fine if you do something fun, but hey, don't attack the person.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
don't suggest that Tom Brevoort needs to be homeless
nor should you be like yelling,
fired for trying things.
But like, if you want to write something funny, that's fine. Like, like if you're like, boy, I hope that like, the staff at Marvel has to scan a QR code
to use the bathroom.
Yeah, like that, haha, all right, fine, whatever. But like also like Brevoort should be responding to more measured comments, but I guess he doesn't want to.
Or he's like, I've never seen one.
Or it could be that, or it could just be he's like, I don't want to take that because that means I have to actually think about what I've done, and that means I'm not like someone's telling me.
Then I have to engage in measured debate, which I really am not interested in doing.
Like on both ends, I'm like, come on, everybody.
No. Be better is essentially what you're saying.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
So anyway, we'll talk about Uncanny in a minute, but before we do, I read Birds of Prey number 12, of course, written by Kelly Thompson, with art by Javier Pina, Sophie Campbell, and of course Gavin Guidry.
Yay!
And this is a fun issue in which it's the penultimate issue of the arc that we're experiencing. Yes,
Barda is the cutest.
Yes, no, Barda is very unhappy about being in a cartoon world, and in fact, when the Birds of Prey end up in it, she's like, oh no, we're cartoons. That's the most violent universe you could possibly be in.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, Barda, you watch cartoons? She's like, yeah, I watch cartoons. I'm,
big fan.
I'm a big fan. But this page, this cover is my favorite depiction of them as cartoons. The cartoon sequence in this issue was odd. It was like they were trying like a mixed media attempt. Like it could have been just drawing, but it looks a little bit to me like it was like they were cut out and placed in moments, which is very interesting. It was more detailed and odd.
Oh, okay.
Than just a straight up, like you look at this cover and you think, oh, X Babies, like Mojo World, just a chibi version of the Birds of Prey. But that's like not very accurate.
Okay.
When you actually look at the sequence,
okay.
It's much more like a web comic, like with a very deliberate style, with a very, there's a very strong intent behind how they depicted them as cartoons.
Okay.
And it was just kind of like, I was like, that's weird. But this whole book is artistically like that, where I'm like, even from the Jordi Belair colors, where I'm like, that's a weird, like, where they with this almost this kind of like photocopy, double image that they achieve, where it's very deliberate and it's clearly intentional. And it turned off a few people. I remember in the very beginning of this series, they were kind of like, what? Like, why do the colors look like that? And I'm like, it's on purpose. Like, they're doing it deliberately. And, that's, it's art. So it's going to be, if it's in any way achievable, it's or worthwhile, it's going to be divisive.
Yeah.
So everything artistically, whenever this book comes out, it's trying something. and I applaud them, and I appreciate it, because it's also like, this is a book to do it. It's fun. It's got a great cavalcade of characters, and it has like a very strong through line that has begun since issue 1. And even though there have been, I think, 2 arcs at least, it feels like one contiguous narrative, but it doesn't feel like it's been just going on and on.
Right.
It's fun. It's a fun book, and it's definitely worth picking up, especially if you are a fan of any one of these characters, but especially if you are interested in being a little bit challenged artistically.
Yeah.
From the shifting art styles to the way in which the art is depicted within the book. It's constantly, pushing the envelope, and I'm like, cool, nice. I don't necessarily love everything they do, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
Okay.
The cartoon thing for me, I was like, like once I saw the cover, I'm like, I'm in. And then I saw the way they did it, and I'm like, I don't, and I was like, this is very deliberate.
You're a stickler for art.
I know, but I'm not. But listen,
you just like you know what you like. And
15 years ago, I've been like, I don't like it, but like now, I'm like, actually, like I see the intrinsic value within it.
Oh, good.
But don't worry, there is also high flying superheroics as well.
Okay,
like, there's everything has a moment for everybody. Like, this whole book has something for everybody.
Okay.
But I dig it.
Great.
Let's see. Yeah, you want to talk about Black Panther?
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Cool.
Don't forget, I have my Kindle library ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I need to show the cover first.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Of course, from this creative team.
I read Ultimate Black Panther at number 7 this week. Written by Brian Hill with art by Stefano Caselli. I realized I don't know when we took a week off, but that must have been when 6 came out.
Yep.
So I also went back and I read 6, which
great.
Listen, I have really been championing this book, for its political intrigue, and it's like, you have an idea of who Black Panther is, and it's like, how much are they really changing? But there are things here and there. I have not really read Black Panther up until this point. So for me, I'm just like, I feel like we're definitely making some shifts here and there. A lot of like characters I recognize, but maybe these aren't the relationships they typically have.
Yeah.
But like, not that we've been spinning our wheels, but like we definitely have been like, okay, Ra and Khonshu are really like kind of getting one over on T'Challa without having to really throw a punch at him, right? And it just feels like T'Challa being like king, it's like, I really need to think about the step that I take here, which I completely respect, right?
Yeah.
So like issue 6 kind of leads up, well, as an issue 6 should, but it leads up to the moment in issue 7 where like finally T'Challa is like, okay, we need to do something here. And he does, and he starts taking some first steps, especially at the end of this. The end of this is like really fantastic moment in it. But also we get I can't remember if it was issue 6 or 7, but a conversation between T'Challa and Shuri about like Aurora and Killmonger, because the two of them are like these outsider guerrilla like fight-esque fighters, right?
Yes.
They clearly elect the way of violence and death, and T'Challa's like, we're fighting against our own people, because in issue 6 we realize what's happening is that like Khonshu will show up in people's villages where there's like a dying child, right? And then like heal them and be like, I've saved you. But it's like, he's not a god.
No.
He's pretending to be a god, essentially. But then they follow him.
Yes.
And like Wakanda is like this like insulated land. And like T'Challa's like, maybe we shouldn't be. And everyone else is like, now you're sounding like Aurora and Killmonger.
Yeah.
Like, what's up with that? And then inevitably, like Shuri's like, Aurora's really pretty. And he's like, I haven't noticed. And she's like, well, you might want to before it sneaks up on you. And I'm like, oh, I love that moment from her brother.
What does that imply? Does that imply that he has like a wandering eye? Does she know her brother well?
I think she's like, uh-oh.
Or just like she might be getting in your head and, you know.
Yeah, or like a little bit of both, where it's just like we, the reader, know the relationship. And like Shuri might notice that it's like she could either use that against you.
Yeah.
Or you could just cause trouble for you and Okoye, you know?
Yeah.
So like in this, like T'Challa's like putting together like his plan, and he's like, we're gonna need someone who understands like mysticism and science. I need you to go out in the world and find that person. I don't know who it is. Go find them. And I'm like, I like this big question mark. There's a lot of people who could fit this bill, and, I'm not even gonna guess. I mean, obviously my brain's like Doom. But you know, let's see.
It can't be. No,
it can't be. It can't be, right? So it's like, who can it be? So I look forward to seeing who they bring back. Right. So he's going to send Okoye and Killmonger. And I'm like, are they going to put Eric and Okoye in a position to either foster their own relationship or for one of them not to return? But Aurora's like, I'm going to go too. Okay. So I was like, okay. All right. So we immediately took that element out. I figured, oh no, like, we're going to leave like T'Challa and Aurora together
alone.
But no, he doesn't allow, like that is not allowed to happen. I'm like, well, appreciate that. That. Right. But before they do, we need to make a big show of it. Right. In which T'Challa, you know, there's like a bunch of folks who are being led back by like Ra and Khonshu's forces. They're like, they've been taken captive and he's going to free them. And so the way in which he does so is in a big showy fashion where like he, you know, takes in like the firepower, but like the shots of like the opposing force, and then like leaps into the air and like calls Aurora to like send down the storm into him, essentially, since his suit can absorb it, right? And then he proceeds to, you know, lay waste to the forces, free the people, and then like demands that they like, who set you free? Yeah. And like the Black Panther, and he's like, now say it so everyone can hear it. So then he makes sure that like, you know, Khonshu and Rock and, you know he's there. He's the BMOC. Yeah, he's like, hey, I'm in charge around here. Back off. In the last issue, just FYI, if you've been keeping up with this, they brought forth an interesting idea. There's a question of like, what if the Voodoo Khan, Imala, the leader of that for like those like prognosticators who Okoye is like, I don't like them. Right. Yeah. They have their own agenda. And he's like, yeah, but I have to listen to them to some degree. Yeah. They're like, what if vibranium has like a mind of its own? Like, what if it's a living thing? Yeah. And I was like, that's an interesting idea. Yeah. Right. And that the idea that this organism or this like thing that the other side has might be like of the same like coin in a way. It's like two sides of the same coin. I don't know. So then the question is like, does vibranium serve Wakanda, or has Wakanda been serving vibranium? And I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, really, really like that. So I like the story that Hill is telling. It's really drawing me in as like a person who doesn't know anything about Black Panther. The character having enough. Obviously, most of us have seen the MCU movie, right? Exactly. And so it's like you have a foundation there. It's not making it MCU Black Panther at all. No, but it's like you at least know the names. Yeah, you know the names, and you know their general roles and where they probably normally might be, and now where they are here. So it's like there's a level of comfort that I feel like Hill is taking advantage of, where he's just like, okay, I might have a lot of new readers coming into this, so I need to make this new reader friendly. But I think it's also creating a sensation of like, if you do know the history, there's a little more payoff for you. Yeah. Well, and also like there's less context that he has to provide in order to get to the good stuff. Yeah. You know, we don't need like 6 issues of being like, this is what the Black Panther is. This is what vibranium is. This is what Wakanda is. We need a scene where like some explorers or some invaders go to Wakanda and they get killed by the Black Panther. And then we talk about isolation. Like everything you know about Black Panther is in the background / like understood by the collective consciousness. Yeah. So we can just get to the good stuff. Yeah, no, absolutely. And it, you know, it's such a like intriguing story. Yeah. Like there is just so much intrigue just going on in general. And it's like, all I want is for T'Challa to come out of this, like having to, because he's so like good, like he's a morally right character, or at least that's how I'm being introduced to him in this context of the Ultimate Universe. Right. Yeah. That I want him to succeed, and we still don't know who is with him.
Yeah.
Fully, or
No.
who doesn't have their own agenda.
Absolutely.
So it's just like all I want. He just wants to do what he thinks is right for his people and for like the people of Africa and the people of the world. And it's just he's just trying to find his way. And so he's taking action. I'm like, I really hope he doesn't get like slapped down, but I don't know how many issues this has. So I really don't know where we are in terms of like the ebbs and flows of storytelling. And Caselli's doing a great job.
Oh yeah.
Like the art's so
one of the
good.
best looking Marvel books on the shelf.
It's just such a powerful looking book, just in general. Like it has like the big moments, it has the quiet moments. Because like oftentimes a lot of it wasn't this issue they talk about the vibranium being alive.
Yeah.
But like there's
Yeah,
a lot
you
of
get big
there's
action and
but there's a lot of
talky.
talking in this book, but it's done so in such a way, again, like the tension is real. There's a lot of like placement of characters, T'Challa being surrounded by people, like, you know, just good choices for colors and backgrounds. Just overall, I mean, like great. And then like again, like you get those like really like solid big moments for him, for T'Challa, for Black Panther, just in general. And you know, I love it. I think it's really, really great looking. The suit is interesting. I know it's different.
Yeah. But it's still familiar.
It's very
not
familiar.
It's not completely out of left field. He doesn't look like Ironmonger.
No, for sure. So I like this book, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out, and hopefully it turns out well.
I should mention that while we did talk about the QR code in Uncanny X-Men, we didn't talk about Uncanny X-Men, and it's because it's a big book, and we're going to wait because we don't want to lose the entire audience because we do the show live. So we didn't talk about Uncanny yet, but we will.
Don't worry, Uncanny's coming.
But yeah. I read I had to skip a few books this week. I'm really sad about that just because of time. We went away this weekend and I just didn't get a chance to really like look at everything, but I did read a few.
We also had to make up for your illness week.
I was
sick.
We had
to do a couple of additional filmings.
Yeah, we did 2 extra back issues. I read Spider-Man Black Suit and Blood from a slew of creators including Dustin Nguyen, Alyssa Wong, J.M. DeMatteis, J. Michael Straczynski, Elena Casagrande, and Frank Gallin. This is it's an anthology book. It's got a whole bunch of different stories in it. But yeah, you got the JMS you got the JMS and the JMD in this book.
Wow.
But that's not to say that they overshadow the other creators in this book who do a phenomenal job. You got a bunch of really fun stories in here. I'm not going to go into every single one of them. I want to save a little bit of time, but I will say that this issue is definitely worth picking up. Everyone in it is great.
Is his woman coming out of the top of his arm?
Yeah, when okay, so like the way that the black costume worked when it was the symbiote, it actually didn't come out of the wrist. It came out the top of his hand. Because it was organic, it could come out of anywhere. And so as a result, they were like, let's change it up. When they first came up with the design, which of course was actually from a fan who submitted the design through the letters pages, there was this idea of like having they're like, wait a minute, why not switch it up?
Okay.
So he used to have this little like white square or trapezoid on his on the back of his hand.
It just looks like it's coming more of his wrist or his forearm.
Yeah, it's stylistic, you know.
Okay.
Like after 40 years of the black costume,
Fair.
you know, I mean, there's a whole segment in here from JMS, and like one of my biggest criticisms of creator of Babylon 5, J. Michael Straczynski's Spider-Man is that while I love, it's one of my favorite eras of Spider-Man, but why he is pushed out by JMD is because for all of the like good that JMS did, of course, everyone who is aware of Sins Past and One More Day is laughing their asses off. But like the point is, he did write some amazing stuff. Some of like my favorite Spider-Man moments are from JMS. He also has absolutely no revelry for continuity, and he will just make shit up when he is faced with the opportunity to do research. And that's obviously on display in this because like it's been very clear from JMS's run that he knows nothing about Venom or the symbiote in any way, shape, or form. He's aware of it tangentially. He's aware of it from like movies and cartoons, but he clearly didn't read them. Which, you know, because even if like you were like a passive reader, you'd still get all the stuff you need, and he doesn't. So in his segment, it's a whole sequence where he like talks to an echo or a remnant of the original symbiote. And it's so funny because like they've addressed this already, you know, like they've addressed the codex that Peter had in his body. Cates did that with all of his symbiote stuff. And JMS is like, oh, you know what? They never really did. You know, it's just like I'll encapsulate in one thing. he didn't know that Eddie was short for Edward when he first wrote Spider-Man when it was ongoing.
Right.
And he called him Edwin because he's like, oh, well, no one ever addressed what Eddie's first name is.
Just Where's the editor?
Right, yeah. And that's why, like, you know, people are really, like, unhappy with the current editor of Spider-Man. Listen, he sucks. But the last couple weren't great either.
Okay.
But yeah, but if you can, like, push that to the back of your mind, the whole, like, oh, you don't really read this stuff, you know, you get a good story out of it. You get some fun character moments. It's just sometimes those characters come from continuity, and so as a result of character coming from continuity, sometimes your story comes up against the lack of understanding of continuity. With JMS, he isn't so great that his story is worth sacrificing continuity. Sometimes that is achievable, and oftentimes when I encounter it, I address it.
Okay.
In this case, the crux of it is Spider-Man kind of like coming to terms with the suit, and the suit's like whatever it is, you know. But there's so many things the suit says where it's like, I gave you power and I made you stronger, and I'm like, no, you didn't. And it's like, but also you shouldn't even be. And it makes you, it just like when you get to that point, you're like, oh, I'm too in the weeds. So, you know.
So I was just sitting as you're chatting about this. I was just thinking to myself, like, I don't think they'll ever do it.
Yeah.
Because it'd be too obvious, even though like Marvel and DC have been like not copying each other, but being inspired by
they're
one
always
another.
Constantly looking over the fence.
You know, thinking about like when we did Into Shambhala and how like Marvel had like their graphic novel thing, and then within like a year DC was like us too.
Yeah.
But like it just, when you're talking about like Straczynski not wanting to follow the continuity or like want to research it, doesn't it make you wish that Marvel had its own like black label sort of graphic novel thing where you could just go, JMS just wrote a Spider-Man story over there, and it doesn't matter.
You know what's funny? You should mention that because there is a book that we're going to talk about today that is basically just that.
Okay.
Where they were like, all right, Kari Andrews, why don't you just do whatever the hell you want?
I mean? But make it bigger prestige and like something that like is limited.
Absolutely. Tom King fired off a Batman. Doesn't get his 100-issue run. Has this whole story about Batman and Catwoman being together. They just gave him a black label book where he finishes his run essentially, but in a more 12-issue, 9-panel grid, Tom King-y format that makes it more narratively satisfying because it's better to his strengths. They should have, after one more day, been like, okay, JMS, creator of Babylon 5, you get to do 12 issues where you get to do what you would have done.
Right.
And it's either what you would have done if we had made you do one more day, or if we hadn't let you do one more day.
Yeah.
And it's like, that would sell. It would sell at least as good as the terrible what I would have done if I had the Clone Saga book that came out way past the Clone Saga's expiration date. And that was a book we actually covered on Back Issues a while back.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, do that.
But you know what I mean? But like Marvel, I would love for them to have that imprint.
Yeah.
Whatever they want to call that. Like just that idea of, you know, it would probably be like much like Black Label is mostly Batman books. This would be mostly Spider-Man books.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know, like I'm sure there's like James DeMatteis could like about like a Doctor Strange book.
Yes.
Right? Or like, you know what I mean?
Occasionally you get some prestige creators.
Yep.
And just go like, hey, go for broke.
Yeah.
There's no limits.
From like 3 to 5 depending on the size of it, because you could still do like the oversize if you wanted to.
And you get like a good editor. You get like somebody who like cares about collections and curation of story and stuff like that.
Yep.
Who also knows how to like get out of the way, but also rein them in. There's a dance.
It just feels like it would help, you know, readers who maybe are like getting tired of like a monthly or an ongoing, or like there's just too much going on, or there's characters they just feel like they can't get into, because some people just want to read, and they're not sure what to read. But like to have like some of these more like, you know, easily pick upable seminal style stories, or stories that everyone is on the same footing when they go into it.
Yeah.
It makes it feel really approachable.
Yes.
You know, but you still like, you're not like dumbing down anything to make it approachable for the new reader.
Right.
You're like, It's just no one knows what's going to happen because no one knows what, like, this isn't in continuity. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. I should point out, devil's advocate, some people are like, isn't that just what the Ultimate Universe is? No. The Ultimate Universe is another universe full of contiguous stories that are done by multiple creators who are working on an interconnected in continuity universe. You're talking more about pitching an original graphic novel line.
Yeah, I apologize. If I had meant an Ultimate Universe and I was using DC as an allegory, I would have mentioned
the absolute universe that's coming up, or even the Earth 1 universe.
But no,
which
I'm specifically talking about Black Label books.
Yes,
which are essentially not what ifs, not Elseworlds, not anything like that. Black Label books are like, here's a book.
Yeah, here's something.
Here's a beginning, middle, and end. It exists outside of everything, seemingly.
Right, Wonder Woman, Dead Earth. There's no other stories.
Right?
It's not set any time.
Nope,
it's just that.
Here's a story.
Here's this, and you'll never get another one.
And most of them are, aimed more at like more adult,
more mature readers.
Yes. So yes, prestige OGNs. Like, just bring them back. Just bring them back. That's what we're talking about here.
People want that, and it's like, you know what really drove home how bad people want accessible, readable, digestible original graphic novels? The effing DC mini books.
Yeah,
I love somebody who was a little anti that idea. A comic book creator, I won't put them out on blast, but like they were mentioned on Twitter. They're like, who knew that the best way to save the comic book industry was to simply make them a little smaller and make them harder to read? And it's like that's savage.
Yeah.
Because look, they are apparently, as I understand it, like they were they are legible.
Yeah.
Like they are easier. They are still high definition. It's not like you lost. There was a lot of like loss in the lettering and stuff.
Yeah.
But if it was me, comic books don't need to be smaller. They need to be bigger.
I mean,
but not all of them.
It's just there's room for both.
Yeah,
there's room for both, and like, I agree. I think it's somewhere between the OGNs and like Marvel Max. Yeah, it's like some hybrid crossover of that. It doesn't always have to be.
Yeah, because Marvel Max was always like, it's gonna be in your face. But my God, you never know what you're gonna get. No, it just needs to be like, hey, this is we're taking our time. We're doing we're being measured, and it's deliberately aimed towards mature readers.
Yeah. But like, also, I think it allows, and I don't know this because I'm not a writer nor am I an artist, but I feel like it allows the team to be a little more creatively open or free or relaxed, because like, yes, there is a deadline, but it's not a month-to-month deadline if you're doing the OGN. If you're just putting it back out, like you're just like, here it is. It doesn't have to come out like every month or whatever. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's right there. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. It's always been right there. And every once in a while they stumble upon it, but it's never like a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you saw, like, because there are some creators who must either have FU money or FU attitudes. And one of those people is Chip Zdarsky.
Yeah.
Who was like, I made What If. Like, they basically were like, we need a What If book. So he created like a What If initiative. He's like, here's the new logo. Here's where we're going to launch a Spider-Man. We're going to go from there. And Marvel was like, no. Like, let's do that. Wait, actually, let's not do that. And let's come up with, but What If Dark? That's like the Tales from the Dark Multiverse. But Tales from the Dark Multiverse is literally a ripoff of what we do.
Yeah.
And so we're ripping off a ripoff of ourselves. So it could only be terrible, which of course it was. And we'll use our old 80s logo to do it. Like, that'll really get them. It was just, ugh. But anyway.
No, I agree with Gavin here that yes, it is not necessarily the mature aspect. It's just funny that the interesting ideas tend to
skew.
Well, they just tend to like more like adults wish to read those.
That's exactly
appeal.
Right.
That's the word I want.
They appeal to a more mature, refined.
Yeah, but I agree. It's
palette.
Just they literally creators. It's a different sandbox to play in, and it just brings a different level out there because you don't have to worry about keeping it ongoing for as many issues as possible.
Yeah. I do like Jeff's idea where it's like having 3 different like age range lanes. Yeah, right. Like the 616 universe, the main continuity, that's for all ages. The Ultimate line, that's for mature, like for like an interconnected 16 and up line, and then you have like Marvel Knights, and that's like the
I love it just being like Marvel Knight, like, but it is OGNs.
Yeah, I love that idea. I mean, also you get to use that original, you get to have like the history of the name Marvel Knights, because and Kate's talked about this before his accident. The whole like Marvel Knights had hit an anniversary, and no one at Marvel was going to do anything with it.
Yeah.
And Kate's is like, that's what got me in here. Like Marvel Knights got me to read comic books and make me get to be a fan and make money for you.
Yeah.
We should celebrate it. And they were like, all right, do something. And he made to do an entire story, which was cool. And it wasn't like great. And it certainly didn't like it didn't resurrect the initiative, but but at least somebody did something. But it had to be from a creator, not an editor, not a mover and shaker of upstairs. Somebody who just had a little bit of cachet.
Right.
And that's how you get one thing.
Right.
Chip was like, here's this one thing. And they're like, all right, now you're out of here. And then here's this one thing from Johnny Cates. Now you're out of here. Like, that's it.
I just think it's so interesting. Like both companies seem to want so badly to appeal to
everyone,
like so broadly to everyone. But like the idea of putting out an original graphic novel is terrifying to them.
I don't understand.
And
I guess because it's like,
Oh, I was gonna say I have a feeling that it comes down to like marketing it. They're afraid of it getting lost because it only comes out one time.
Well, it's like how many, but then you only get one bite of the apple. But the other thing is, and I think this is really paramount. This is just very cynical, and I apologize.
Oh, here
but
we go.
They're not book publishers.
There is that.
They're not book publishers.
There is that.
If Marvel or DC actually suddenly woke up and realized that they were in the book publishing industry, heads would roll. They would lose their minds. Their fuzzy little heads would explode. Because honestly, like if they were like, oh, I think I know how to make money because the book industry does it hand over fist by publishing one thing at a time that looks pretty and works on the shelf.
Well, yeah. Well,
we do it literally 100 times a week.
Well, I know.
And yet they still don't know,
that
they're in the book publishing business.
Okay. Well, no, they're in the periodical publishing industry.
Their minds. Well, no, that's right. They think they're making shitty dime store magazines, and what they are is, and occasionally you'll hear like, oh, Penguin Random House working with. I'm like, oh, great. Could some of those people maybe go over there and train them?
Yep.
To make books?
Well, yeah, or they could just team up with someone who can.
Right. Like, hi, I'm so-and-so. I've been working at Penguin Random House for 67 years, and so I know how to make books. And now we're going to show you how to do it. And we're not going to take it over, and we're not going to make you turn the monthly, single issue into a book.
Yeah.
But because I would not be so arrogant and stupid as to tell you how to do your jobs. But if you want to make more money making books, which is what you do for a living, then here's how you do it.
Yep.
I mean, remember those beautiful Penguin Random House Marvel collections that we saw for like a half second that were at Dewey's, where it was like they looked like books, and they were just original collections of the I think it was Black Panther, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Captain America, and it was just like these original Steve Ditko, Stan Lee, they're just in order, just a little, and they were manga sized, by the way. Marvel throwing their hat over the wall first. How'd that happen? But it looked like a book, and it had like the letters pages in it, and had like essays within it. It was just this like tome.
Yep.
And it was paperback, so it was actually like accessible and affordable. Never saw that again. Anyway, I also read Batman number 151. It's an entire tie-in to Absolute Power. Chip Zdarsky, Mike Hawthorne. Batman and Catwoman try to steal a mother box and end up having to fight a crazy-ass Suicide Squad. The art's fine. I think that Mike Hawthorne has his strengths, but they don't really they don't shine on a Batman or Daredevil book. I think Mike Hawthorne is a fine artist who's got a good, consistent style. Unfortunately, it is not.
I didn't remember
terrific
him getting that assignment.
What? Mike Hawthorne?
No, Batman.
Oh, Batman.
I didn't remember at the end.
Yeah, no, he didn't. This is just whatever.
No, but somebody did. Maybe it was him. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah,
remember.
no. It was Batman takes it upon himself to do it.
Oh, okay.
No, so Batman. He is just Batman and Catwoman team up.
Yeah.
And he does some like espionage, and he sneaks into a thing, and it's fine. It's tie-in. I feel bad. Like I Chip's got some plans for this book, I think, and I think the other thing is it's all a direct fallout of the thing he was doing when it wasn't tied into an event. And so far, Absolute Power has been great, and the tie-ins have been good. This is fine, and it you know what? If you want to see Batman and Catwoman teaming up to fight like insurmountable odds, then you're in luck. That's what this is. That's what this issue is. And you can see Batman fight Bizarro, and that's kind of fun. And then there's a dun because we got to keep going. So it's fun. It's fun. I don't know if I don't know if I'd pay full price for this issue. But it's fine. It's perfectly cromulent. There's no problem here. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was, but I was also like, man, I kind of want to just see what Chip wants to do with this title, not related to this event.
Right. Okay.
What about you?
Can you switch over to my Kindle library, please, so I can see? Thank you. So just really quickly, I want to mention I read the Power Fantasy this week, number 1. It's an image book. It's from Kieran Gillen, with art by, I don't have to wait till the book's up. Thank you, Casper Wingard.
Yeah, we had that issue last time when you recommended this book.
Give us a shot.
What a great crazy ass cover.
Crazy ass cover. Interesting concept. You know, there are people who are part of the nuclear family.
Yeah.
Like they have powers via like atomic stuff. And I'm like, what a brilliant name for them.
Yep.
Many are stronger than others. Some of them have like who cares powers, that kind of thing.
Wow, what a good looking book.
This book is great. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I didn't even get a chance to crack it, but suddenly I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, what a good looking book.
Yeah, no, it's so good. Such a great looking book. Just like so like artsy, and then it just
wow, what a New York feeling book. Yeah, you really capture that world.
Oops, what'd I just do? Help your wife not screw up the everything.
Okay.
Oh, hopefully it's
fine.
See,
thank you, Gavin. He's like, I have no idea how to pronounce his last name, but he is a great artist.
Okay, thank you. It's not just me.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get to this one. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Just this. Nope, can't do that.
Nope, you can't do it.
Okay, cool. That's
Thanks,
fine.
Kindle.
That's fine. Yeah. Look at the book is gorgeous. It's just so great looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few power players here that we meet right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And we chat a little bit about this world without like giving everything away because it's a Kieran Gillen book. This book makes me feel like Gillen still not like this is
not done with Krakoa.
No, it's not. I don't think it's that he has like a story that he was like, oh, I wish we could have told this. I think he was just so potentially inspired by the like. He's written for X before.
Yeah.
Obviously, he has written for X before.
Yeah.
But I just feel like this time around, like there just feels like he like was inspired.
Yeah.
To do something a little different. But also to deal with people who have powers.
Yes.
And I like this world that he's crafting where there's like people who are super powered and like part of like what they've done is like one of them like helped to stop like a nuclear crisis. But like the other one is like he tries to be really like morally just and like morally fair and like try to keep things like it's almost like an Ozymandias sort of like approach to things. But like he's like, no, I do things because they're the right thing to do or whatever.
It's like, but how do you know it's the right thing to do?
Yeah.
Who says that's the right thing?
And like he has powers. And here I want to pop that up too because it just is so great looking. Yeah, I mean like this is the kind of art we're looking at here, folks. But yeah, like he has like seemingly like a mental powers like Xavier. But he uses them in a more morally gray fashion. And yeah, so like he chats with Valentina here at the beginning about like how they should proceed, and he pitches one thing and she's like, I think we should do checks and balances, and that's kind of how they end up. But the checks and balances he inflicts is essentially like like one of their folks is threatening this, that, or the other thing with his like floating city. Like it has like shades of X-Men without being like, this is totally just a ripoff of X-Men. It's like definitely, you're gonna listen, if you're just reading Krakoa and Gillen was writing Krakoa while you were reading it, yes, you're gonna make those connections. But he's definitely crafting his own world here for sure.
Gee whiz, you like Kieran Gillen original worlds, weren't you? A Wicked Define fan back in the day?
Yeah. And Die and Once in Future. And
she's not telling me to die. She means she liked the book Die.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he in order to stop a larger catastrophe from happening, he goes and talks to like the person who's also part of the nuclear family who is atomic, because it's like we start in like 1960 something and then like it's like 1999 and he's like, what can I do to fix this? Well, just tell me what I need to do. And he's like, well, I want you to kill the president.
Oh my god.
And he's like, okay, done.
Oh, like it did it already. Yeah, it did it from there.
He's like, got it. Can do. He's like, oh, he's got a shield, but all right, like his optic nerve wasn't protected, so I expanded that. He's gone. He's like, okay, and and the chief of like
staff
or like the person in the war room, like want them out too. Good. And the whole staff and this that, and then like he's like, oh, and all their families, and he's like, I draw the line there.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, He's like, no, otherwise I'm gonna cause a problem. And he's like, all right, well, then here's my deal. I'll do that for you, but then I'm gonna kill your family.
Right.
And he's like, but they're your family. And he's like, but it's only fair. And so he backs off.
Right.
But it's like, so this guy's like trying to make sure like there are checks and balances. At the end of this book, we get introduced to some additional characters who, because it's Gillen, I'm like, well, I can't wait to meet these folks. Who knows what their like, tragic and or amazing backstory is. But I'm really enjoying it. And I again, like maybe it is like a script he kind of wish he had a chance to do, or an idea he had. But if you liked Gillen writing X-Men, especially during the Krakoa era, because like I said, I know he's written X in the past, but if you liked it during the Krakoa era, you might really like this book, even if you don't know these characters. Gillen's voice makes you feel comforted, especially if you know his work. The art in this Wingard.
Yeah, let's say that the J is silent.
Wingard is incredible. The work is so good, so dynamic. I love how fun it can be. I love how like casual it can be at times. Like, characters are having conversation. It's just effortless and beautiful looking. But I also love his like dynamic action pieces as well. So I really am looking forward to this book. Power Fantasy. I didn't actually know this one was coming out until last week. I thought Gillen has another book from Image coming out. I thought that was what people were talking about.
Yeah.
But obviously I was going to give this a shot, and I'm so glad I did. So excited for it.
You also read the finale of a series that you have been enjoying over the past year. At least.
Looks
like we closed the thing here.
Just got to go.
There we go.
There you go. So I read Doctor Strange this week. I think it's Doctor Strange
13 or something like that.
18? Some number of
there
Doctor Strange. It is 18.
All right.
This is written, of course, by Jed McKay with art by Pascal Ferry. And this ends Doctor Strange right now. Now, of course, we saw that happen with...
when he died?
No, I was going to say with Moon Knight.
Oh, yeah, with Moon Knight, yeah. When he died?
This also has a letter in the back from Jed, which mentions that Jed's idea was not to kill him. It was Marvel.
Who? Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a Marvel
editorial
idea.
was like, Jed was like, hey, what if I wrote a Doctor Strange book?
And great, kill him.
Editorial was like, well, we were just going to kill him, so have at it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was like, well, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that like he really enjoyed, this like playing in this world and all of that. And, he has a similar idea of what Strange is like to some degree. Because it's like, it's funny because based on what I have read, he clearly has read a lot of like the 80s, 90s Doctor Strange.
Yes.
When Doctor Strange had a very long running series, right? But he also realizes that like, or he mentions that like, he's like, Doctor Strange is like a pop-up character.
Yes, he always appears in another book.
Yeah, he's like, oh, here I am. It's me. It's Doctor Strange. Hello, I'm here to help out. Like, is there a magical issue? Okay, well, here comes me, Doctor Strange. Right? Like,
well, he's not wrong about that.
No, for sure. But he's like, no, like Doctor Strange should have like books and blah 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 blah. And that's where he and I agree. Doctor Strange should have books. I don't think he needs to have a series any longer. I just don't think that like in the way in which people consume comics nowadays, I just feel like Doc doesn't
lend himself
command an audience for an ongoing, which ends up getting him canceled.
Right. Well, because then also the only way that Marvel knows how to keep Doctor Strange sales juiced is by pulling stunts that then diminish the character. If they happen too many times, like, oh, I know, we'll kill him. You literally just killed him 2 years ago. Well, we're gonna have to kill him again then. That's okay. Nobody cares. It's okay, but then he's died like 9 times in 10 years, and suddenly it's like someone notices,
Right. I'm sorry. He refers to him as the perennial guest star, which I love that idea.
Yeah, it is.
But like if Marvel brought back their OGNs, Strange is a perfect candidate for
Absolutely.
that. Or like just giving him a limited series so the reader knows, okay, I'm in for 8 issues.
Yeah.
They're more likely
that way I can pre-order the book.
I'm just going to let's get my 8 issues. Great. All right.
Although
excellent.
the reality is if you pre-order Doctor Strange normally, you are only going to be on the hook for 13 issues or less.
Probably. No, it's so true. But then again, look at Gods, which was a limited series, but Gods is also...
But nobody pre-ordered that book.
That was also kind of weird.
And it was weird.
Not the book was weird, but I think people didn't know
it was
what
a weird time, and it was like post Hickman leaving for Krakoa.
So I don't know. So anyway, so this ends. I do like one of like McKay's last lines in his letter where he says like, I may be leaving him, but the doctor remains as always in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's really sweet. This issue it was an interesting finale to this series. And honestly, after I first read it, I was like, all right. And then, having let it sit for a bit, I'm like, I think I like this. It focuses obviously a lot on the fact that Strange has given up the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme, and the fact that like he's like, okay, well, he still has magic. It's not like he doesn't have that anymore.
He's still a sorcerer.
Yeah. But like he's really like mad about it. Mordo shows up because it's like obviously he never got to fight Mordo. He doesn't even like that. Here's the thing too. This, because of Blood Hunt, which was McKay's own doing, Strange never actually gets to deal with his brother at all.
Right.
Like
we don't get
a reaction. We don't get any of it.
That's
right.
a shame.
Like this is the time he gets to really deal with Mordo, and it's like, okay, cool.
Oh, Mordo, okay.
And like Mordo's like, oh, like you're like blood, like I'm gonna destroy you, like oh, you seem so weak, you're begging for your life already. I thought you might have a little bit of Sorcerer Supreme still in you, and like Clea's like, no, he's like worried for you because like without the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme, like he might kill you. Like he might kill you. Ooh.
No, but he won't.
So Mordo says something that is like truly like biting, but like there's teeth to it, but there isn't, because this is the end, right? Mm-hmm. And like, what does he say? He's like, the fact is, Clea, like you're like probably going to leave him.
Right.
Right, because like Strange,
because whoever takes over Doctor Strange next probably won't want to write about you.
Maybe no, but like Strange is like, oh, Mordo, like you thought, because like when she appears in the panel, he's like, oh, you're here still. And Strange is like, oh, you thought like once I lost like my office of Sorcerer Supreme that she'd leave me. He's like, well, like if she hasn't yet, she will.
Right.
Because like the fact is, like she's a full teen, and she's not gonna like eventually.
You're just a guy now.
Well, like eventually her love will turn to pity, and that's when you'll ask her to leave you.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh,
that is like
so true.
That is like, I could see that happening 100%. And I was like, ouch. But like, again, this is the end, presumably for right now, until something else happens or Jed McKay decides he wants to.
So Marvel asked Mark Waid to write it again.
Oh, please don't.
I know.
Please don't. Please don't.
Mark Waid is just, you need to stay at DC. You're just great at DC.
So then, like, Strange goes and talks with the Vishanti.
And Jed McKay remembers who those are, unlike anybody else.
He's like, hey, well, but they remember he asked him to go kill General Strange, and
I know during the whole, but Jed wrote all that stuff too.
Yeah, but he was like, Strange is like, you gotta give it back to me. And they're like, no, you gave it to him.
Yeah, you gave it up,
and he saved the world.
Right.
So
deal's a deal, pal.
Like Strange is like, you're just mad at me because I didn't like kill like General Strange when you told me to, and they're like,
yeah, probably. Yeah, that sounds like them.
I'm like, that 100% sounds
like them.
Yeah,
they're like, well,
So like, this is the part where I'm just like, I guess this is Steven. I don't know. Doom like has put a big dome over Latveria, and like Strange just goes and just beats on the top of it, yelling at him. I'm like,
oh, okay.
Doesn't really. Okay. Sure.
So
then he goes home and he's like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get General Strange. I'm going to make him do what General Strange does best and go wage war on Dr. Doom with me. Let's go. He opens the door and remember the I never had to say this word. Kobolorum?
No.
The Kobolorum from the Jumanji style issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. The game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he gave that to General Strange so that they could kind of work through their crap together.
Yes.
And so what's been happening is General Strange has just been like creating.
Yeah. He's like, I'm a pacifist now and I'll never help you.
No, he's like, what do you need? He's like, well, wait, check out all this stuff. And Strange is like,
oh, I can't ask you to lose this. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, nothing. It's fine. It's cool.
I just want to say hi.
Literally, he's just like, I just want to see how you doing. Goodbye.
Cool.
So then like he and Clea have a nice little moment, and
And he's like, I still need to be able to fly. So
they give him his she gives him his blue cape. She's like, listen, you might not be the Sorcerer Supreme anymore, but you can still be the master of black magic. So here you go.
Okay.
Yay, see you later. Bye. Hopefully people will remember the fact that he's wearing the blue cape.
I bet they don't.
You know what though? There's too big of a thing coming up for Doom for them to not have to pay attention.
Right, Doom will have to wear the cape anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I bet they don't anyway.
But like this is very sweet. This is very, very sweet. And like we'll see what happens next.
Right.
That's where I'm at with this.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see who else.
And there's a couple of times in this though, like again, like Pascal Ferry's art is just, it is not my cup of tea.
I
And I
know.
recognize that. It's just,
There were a couple moments you were like, no.
yeah. But again, that is very subjective. It's a subjective,
Mhm.
taste for me.
Fair.
It's not a big fan.
Yeah, I understand.
I got a couple others, I
Okay.
think. What else did I read? Can you go up to the Kindle thing again? Thank you so much. Oh no,
Mhm.
I guess I don't.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's it.
because we've got Absolute,
Yep.
Spider-Man Reign, and X-Men.
Mhm,
Okay, cool.
mhm. Absolute.
Yeah. Didn't you read Absolute Power? Didn't that come out?
Oh yeah, Absolute Power. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was thinking of like the Absolute Universe, and I was like, oh, what? No. But yeah, no, we read Absolute Power #2 from Mark Waid and Dan Mora, of course, continuing the big event that is happening at DC that made Batman not great, but like whatever. So yeah, this is great. It's fantastic. It's just the heroes hang out in the Fortress of Solitude, trying to rally themselves, see Mr. Terrific and Batman trip over their own egos, which I was like, why haven't we seen that yet?
Yeah.
Until Dick Grayson picks up the mantle and goes like, hey, I'm still a big deal. I know people thought maybe I might have had my biggest moments in like Dark Crisis and stuff, but no, actually, I'm still here and I'm in charge and I'm going to start dictating what's going on. And everyone's like, yay, good. Nobody could argue with Dick Grayson. He's great. We all love Dick Grayson. Yay.
And
Batman's like, yeah, he has a good moment. Free's like, that's my boy. It's really cute.
Yeah. I'm like, yay, he is your son.
Yeah, exactly. No, he knows.
Mark Waid's like, don't anyone forget that.
Yeah, well, Mark Waid doesn't really like Batman much. Like he likes Batman, but he doesn't like have if you watch on this channel, if you'd like to subscribe and check out the backlog of videos, there's an interview I had with Mark Waid where he's like, I don't really have like a voice for Batman, like, which he has certainly developed after doing Batman Superman World's Finest.
Oh, sure.
But he's like, I don't really have like an in for Batman. Like he doesn't like Batman the way that he bleeds Superman. But yeah, so Dick Grayson gives everybody all these jobs to do, and they're about to do them when Amanda Waller's crew bursts in, and they roll in and take shit over, and it's real bad for everybody. And Superman keeps whining about John, and then John shows up, and he's Brainiac.
I mean, it's his son.
I know.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's cool, and John is is how they get into the fortress in the first place, and obviously, Dick Grayson's also like, you have a tie-in, and you have a tie-in, and you have a tie-in. I'll do your tie-ins.
Here's your job.
Yeah,
here's your job.
But you get to watch the heroes like scramble and desperately cling to any like effort to defend themselves and protect themselves, and because they're not in the middle of a city, they don't also have to try and save lives. It's just watching them like clutch to life.
Right, but we also start to see like some of the first cracks in Amanda Waller's armor by the end of this.
Yeah, Dreamer, of course, like betrays them and then dies. There's no way.
There's no way. She's clearly zipped into someone's like. Yep.
Yeah. But that was cool. But yeah, you're seeing like the cracks in Amanda Waller's armor and like her plans. We do have a moment where she's like, like, I don't know. I get it. And I'm cool. I'm down with it. There's a great moment where they talk about like Green Arrow. Of course, don't forget Green Arrow betrayed them.
It's right at the end.
Yeah, and then Arrow, and then Ollie's like, all right, guess we're gonna have to reveal that I've been a double agent the whole time, which of course we all knew.
Yeah.
From like the second.
But the way that it's coming together is interesting because it's like they've taken over the
Hall of Justice.
Yeah, so like they have all these like artifacts essentially,
which like Waller doesn't understand or know how to work.
So they're like, I'm just gonna have Green Arrow catalog everything, and like as he's cataloging them, he's clearly looking for something. Initially, I thought, by the way, that cube had like the Black Mercy in it.
Me too.
Which I was like, did you give her that?
Throw it at her.
Just throw it on her.
I think they will. I think Wade knows
that's not
that.
what it is.
No.
He's going for something else.
Yeah. He's going for a like an hourglass. Yeah. Which I'm sure Mark Waid could catalog and identify what issue it is. But for me, I'm just like, okay, so then we're gonna go back in time. All right, cool. But yeah, it's dope. It's a really fun story. It has the sensational nature of like a summer Marvel event. With the bombastic art that only Dan Mora can provide.
Yes.
Where it's consistent and excellent and has cool moments that you would never have seen, like Flash driving a cool Kryptonian motorcycle.
Yes.
And, it's just...
Or Kandor.
Or Kandor. Using Kandor in a really awesome way that you're like, I don't know how they're going to clean all that, but okay, whatever. It was awesome, though. And just watching the heroes like pressed up against a wall was really cool.
It was.
And continues to be a really fun story. I'm loving it.
Here, hang on, really quick. This is a good. This is a.
Oh yes, Comixology has a huge Batman sale on a bunch of trades, collections, etc. I've spent a bunch on Golden/Silver Age comics, and some of the ones you have done on back issues. Deal ends today though, so yeah, check out the Kindle
Comixology,
Amazon page and see what deals are there for you. That might be fun to check out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anytime we can get a chance for people to buy comic books is a good day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Absolute Power is great. I guess we'll talk about Uncanny X-Men.
What would we have left?
We have Spider-Man.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. You know what? Let's start with Spider-Man Reign 2 first.
Okay.
Because while this is like the title of the episode, I don't think people care nearly as much as they care about the other one. So Kari Andrews wrote and drew this series, and so it is with this issue. Spider-Man Reign 2, number 2, a series that like basically no one on Earth but Andrews has asked for, because why would they? This book, it seems like it was almost like it was made on a dare, or because it is because the first one is so infamous.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's like a plot thread in this book about the infamous act from the first one. And if you don't know it, someone in the chat will make an off-color joke about it. But this is just like, okay, so Peter's old and he's miserable and he's like crotchety and he's been in a simulation the whole time, like, well, since the end of the first one. And then he's freed and there's this like cute junior black cat character that frees him. Turns out Norman Osborn frees Peter and then sends him back in time, seemingly, and that's where we left off.
Yeah, it's like a fever dream.
This book is a complete fever dream. Yeah. So Peter is seemingly in the past, though there are clearly signs that we are not quite in the timeline from Reign, like the timeline that Peter knows. Peter's like, oh, I'm in I should say Spider-Man knows, because Peter is this pathetic, like, amnesiac. He's basically just like an invalid who is constantly begging to like be hooked up to opioids and like just live in his fantasy world in his head. But once the Spider-Man mask comes on, Spider-Man takes over.
Yep.
And Spider-Man takes. And this is the thing that I do not cotton to in the main continuity, but I'll take in this weirdo cracked mirror reality, because why not?
Yeah.
But and it's never more evident than the fact that he is wearing a coat and has a Santa Claus beard under the mask. Like this is insane looking, and it's meant to be not taken seriously. You're meant to turn like, your brain off a little bit and just go for it. But there is some story there.
Yeah.
So, Osborn sends Black Cat and some goblins to the past with Peter / Spider-Man. Spider-Man goes to the past and he's like, oh, I'm in the past. Well, I'll have to stop Mary Jane from being killed by my radioactive spider semen. And so here I go. But he immediately is engaged by a few members of like his rogues gallery, including Vulture and Beetle, and immediately kills Vulture, just crushes him under a cab, and then yells at everybody and moves on. And you're like, whoa. What?
Yeah, I'm
and it's like, yeah, I'm at the end of my rope. I'm a crazy old man. I'm going for it. And then like we get the Spider-Verse influence on this thing. An old Miles Morales comes from the future with like a time group of people who are like, we gotta save this timeline. We gotta stop Spider-Man. Let's go. And so they're chasing after Black Cat Jr.
Yep.
And they're attacking her. And so what? And again, I thought this book was going to be one thing when I first picked up the first issue. Then I picked up the second issue and I'm like, no. Then I read the issue and I'm like, that's not what I thought this was going to be. Then I picked up this one. I'm like, all right, cool. So we're going to see like old, miserable, tired, but now suddenly renewed, hopeful Spider-Man teamed up with Felicia's daughter? Someone? Like this junior Black Cat. And she's going to have to like try and like prevent him from changing the history because she doesn't want to see herself like change. No, they get separated immediately and she has to protect the goblins from Miles Morales. Meanwhile, Peter is just whizzing history down his leg by showing up at the Daily Bugle because he's like, I need to know where Mary Jane is. First he asks the villains. They're like, I don't know what that means. He goes to the Daily Bugle. Jonah's there with Robbie Robertson. He attacks Jonah and asks them. He's like, he says some vague, weird stuff about like Peter Parker, seemingly talking about him in the past tense when Robbie shows up. And then Jonah's like, I'm going to blow you away because I used to be in the war. And he accidentally shoots Robbie instead. And so Robbie's now dead.
Yes.
And Jonah murdered him and has a renewed, even deeper hatred for Spider-Man. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, Peter, you are ruining everything.
Well,
like,
and Peter's like, I did ruin everything.
Yeah.
Peter's like, everywhere I go.
I go, I ruin everything. And I'm like, this is insane.
Yes.
Like, this is nuts. And then he's like, well, I got to go to Aunt May's house. And don't forget, like, how Aunt May was portrayed in the first book, where she was like a shrewish old woman who was like, she took you from me. You know, that kind of Aunt May. And I'm like, that's not Aunt May at all. But all right, it's another reality. Go for it. But this Aunt May is wheelchair bound and blind, and she doesn't recognize Peter's voice because he's an old man. And she's like, you know, and he's trying to find out where Mary Jane is. And unlike her previous incarnation, where she's like, man, Mary Jane, screw her, she's horrible, she ruined my Peter's life. Instead, she's like, oh, you mean my nephew's widow? And he's like, what? And then finds out, like, Mary Jane is alive and Peter is dead in this reality. So Peter is destroying a timeline he has no vested interest in anyway, but at least Mary Jane's alive in it, so I guess I'm good. Because all I wanted to do when I was here was say, Mary Jane, well, if I'm dead now, then she won't be killed by my spider semen, so I'm great. And then he's attacked by Venom. And you're like, okay. So Kari Andrews just loves McFarlane and Eric Larson era Spider-Man, because every splash page is just the most epic, wild, raw, dope moment.
Would you like me to go back to that one that's like the most
It is just McFarlane.
It's like
Spider-Man.
more McFarlane than McFarlane.
Yeah, it's like an over McFarlaneization of Spider-Man. It's just like, wha-bam. And I'm like, but with his Santa beard. So it's just nuts. It's like, I love it. I'm here for it. I can imagine. I mean, look at the moon. If it were that close to the Earth, we'd be dead. If I can see the craters, but that's exactly how close the moon used to be in every issue of Spawn.
Yeah.
So I'm here for
lens flare on this.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, we have Photoshop now. Put a lens flare in there.
We got the spaghetti webbing.
We got everything. Everything's on display. You could see what influenced Kari Andrews. And I'm like, dude, Kari.
Oops, I made us go.
I'm with you. I totally get it. I'm on the same page as you, sir. Let's go. Because it's so unabashed and joyful and insane, and it isn't as like dreary and self-important. Like, this one is him. It's like Kari Andrews had like a weird period where it's like, I can imagine, because Kari Andrews is an artist, right? Mm-hmm. Spider-Man Reign was his love letter to Frank Miller. It was a Dark Knight Returns-ification of Spider-Man, which I think is a terrible concept, but he wanted to do it, and he did it, and he was like, I have something to say about these things.
Yeah.
And I can imagine, and I don't know this for a fact, this is just how I feel, but I can imagine it being like they turned it into a joke. Like, they took this really personal story of mine and they turned it into a effing dick joke, like they do with everything. And then, but like, that book came out like 10 years ago, you know, so it's like he's had time to be like, they turned it into a joke, and then being like, you know what? Maybe it was a joke, or maybe, you know, it doesn't matter if it's a joke. I still am proud of what I did, and I did this story. And you know, and every year I go to a con, people tell me how much they love this book and how much important it is, and so I'm fine. But this book is nuts, and I don't know if it's like, well, I did my Frank Miller love. Now this is my early image love of Spider-Man or comics or whatever, because like the Bad Girls, Evangeline, Vampirella, Angela influence on this is just like, this is fan art come to life. I've seen a zillion, unfortunately, images of what Kari Andrews actually makes real in at least one real Marvel Universe reality. Venom attacks him. Awesome. Looks great. And he's like, I don't care. I got Mary Jane. She's fine. Venom pulls back to reveal that Mary Jane is Venom. And it's like, yup. Like, we're doing this now. Like, in this reality, Peter died and she became Venom, and now she's going to take it out on the old dead Spider-Man. I'm just like, this is insane. And I'm loving it. Like, I'm loving it because it's so nuts. Like, the problem, and I think the problem with like the 90s was that it was all happening in real time, in continuity. This is over there. I'm like, no, let's go. You know, like, I will drive my car 110 miles per hour if I have a do-over button. You know, I will eat like the fourth slice of pizza. That's what this book is. It's just like, let's go. We're in another reality. Like, yeah, Venom's Mary Jane is Venom. And you know what? If you have a problem with it, you hypocrites ate it up when she was Scream in the video game. How dare you criticize this Rule 34 drawing of Mary Jane?
So ridiculous.
I am so here for it. And then it's like the next issue is like Miles and Peter are gonna fight. And I'm like, who gives a shit about that? I want to see Spider-Man fight his wife. It's awesome. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, Spider-Man Reign 2, it's worth buy it week to week so you don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, why would you wait?
Why would you?
Don't let
No
us
one
spoil
should.
it.
Yeah, don't let us spoil it. Buy the damn thing. I can't recommend it enough. It's so insane. I'm like, what are you doing? Everything that I hated about the first one, I love about this one. It's just incredible. And then, of course, we read Uncanny X-Men #1 from Gail Simone and David Marquez. This is the book where I was like, I don't know if before I read this book, Gail Simone is an acquired taste. I'm not the world's biggest Gail Simone fan.
Okay.
Not to say I don't like her as a person,
No,
but,
like,
professional tweeter and occasional writer, Gail Simone.
I was going to say writers are artists as well. And just like there's a million artists out there because we all have subjective tastes.
Absolutely.
The same thing can happen with a writer,
right?
Like,
but as it's been on record, X-Men #1 was an embarrassment. So like, here's another chance for X-Men to win our hearts and minds. And like, we saw Gail Simone and David Marquez's little like free comic book day issue or whatever the hell that was. It was a preview. And so, and I was not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
This issue sees from the perspective of Rogue, a new X-Men is born with 3 classic X-Men characters, Rogue, Gambit, and Wolverine. I really enjoyed this issue. I think the art was great. I think Marquez is doing a fantastic job. I think, it's what you come to expect from David Marquez. Like, the problem with David Marquez is he will need time. So like the book will be late, or they'll need fill-in artists, or the art will suffer. It's a shame, but it's the reality of what we are living with.
Yeah.
But the depiction of Rogue was really fun. Her relationship with Gambit I really enjoyed. Wolverine feels tacked on, but I'm still there for it. There's a beautiful sequence towards the end that like you could tell Gail Simone had it in a drawer somewhere and was happy to use. But it also really seemed to be like relevant, or became relevant to the like marching orders of this book. The book is about it's about a lot of things, or it's not about anything, but it seems to want to be about like setting up the future and how the X-Men are the guardians of the future, not in like a time travel way, but time travel is inherent in the DNA of X-Men. So like, I can understand that kind of being a concept, but like in this, it's more like, no, they're the children of the atom. They're a school. They in the lifeblood of X-Men, it's about the next generation, it's about children. And in fact, like if you were an X-Men fan, you are probably a fan of like a new class of characters who replace the old characters. And this book introduces you to like a slew of characters I don't know and don't recognize, or maybe they're invented for this book, I don't know. But here you go, and like here they all are, and like the elder statesmen who are also certainly intentionally not the first class of X-Men. Rogue, Gambit, Wolverine. But I think the order goes Wolverine, Rogue, Gambit. So it's like these are elder statesmen of the X-Men in the same way that like Johnny Rico is the elder statesman of the like squad in Starship Troopers, where it's like we're the old men, Ace, and I'm like, you're 22. But it's like that's the sad part of being a grunt and start in the Federation or whatever. But so like you see these characters, and there's also a big sequence that I'm sure people have a lot of questions for you about that opens the book, that starts with some action and oh yeah, and I forgot about the whole Xavier's Institute turned into a prison, and I'm like, okay, that's I get it. I get the idea. Yep, I understand. Sure. Yep, it'd be like it's not unlike when they turned Avengers Tower into Dark Avengers Tower or whatever. I'm fine. All right, cool. And of course, their first inmate is obviously Xavier. Sure. Like, okay, I see the irony. Yes, but you get the X-Men fighting a big crazy dragon. Yep. That also wields the second of Hiya Agamotto. I'm sure people had questions for you about that on social media.
There's 3 of them. It's fine.
Are there 3?
Yeah.
All right. Because they don't know. They say there's 2.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oops. But that's okay because Marvel doesn't have editors.
It's fine. Like...
but then there's this great sequence. I really like this, and I thought you might as well.
I haven't had a chance to talk about it, so.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, you didn't interrupt, so I assumed you have like a completely disparate opinion from me, and that you wanted to have an entire opportunity to talk about.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, I like Fawn.
Yeah. No, it's all. Yes, go ahead, please. Because I think people are already ready to like parade me onto the street and set me on fire. So
Yeah, no, naturally.
Because I haven't been like just spouting. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get.
No, I don't think you get what I'm going to say. So keep going. Don't try.
So yeah, it was nice. You know, it seemed like a fun thing. The thing that really like, there are a lot of things going on in this book.
Yeah.
You know, we got the prison and the dragon and the deer girl and the kid and the new class and you know what else, and through it all, the narrative flow is it's all told from the perspective of Rogue.
Yes.
And I love Rogue.
Yeah.
So I'm like, good. Like, and it's not like Uncanny Avengers, which has been awful. So I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to watch this like reluctant leader ascend.
Yes.
In a way that Captain America like basically literally asked Rogue to do, but she wouldn't.
Right. But
it's because she's not an Avenger, she's an X-Man.
Right.
Cool. And I like the interplay between her and Rogue, or her and Gambit.
Yeah.
But I certainly liked this more than the other one.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Take it away.
No. Okay, so everybody settle your pitchforks and your torches. I think this is a very good book.
Yeah.
I think that this book should exist completely outside of everything else. Because the fact is, like, other than the Xavier stuff, this is just a different book. It's just a different book.
No, it has nothing to do with anything.
Because it's like, you know, in theory, like most of the world hates these people. That's what the
preview they did.
That's what the preview they give us is like, hey, listen, everyone hates the X-Men.
Yep.
We got to go back to how things were, right?
Mm-hmm.
This there are things that happen in this book, and maybe I'm meta reading it, but I don't know. But like, there are things that happen in this book in order to make sure that they can make certain things happen later on.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't mean just like narratively speaking. I mean in your hearts and minds.
Yes.
Because the fact is, what did you say? What did a lot of people say would have been like really weird to do post Krakoa? And that's go back to the mansion, right? It's like, that's a really weird thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? Well, how do I trick you? Which is not a problem. This is not a bad thing. I'm just telling you, as I was reading this, I was like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. It's like, how do I trick you into thinking that that's going to be okay by the time that we're done here? Oh, I know. I'll destroy it.
Yes.
If I got it, then you're going to be like, they're never going
to go back to it. Yeah.
Well, no, then you're going to be pitchforks and we got to go back. We got to save it. We got to save the mansion. Like, I'm going to make it a hero for you. Like a hero moment for them to go back to it. But I'm like, why would they leave their shit there?
Right.
Like, why would Kitty's uniform be there?
Right.
Wasn't it like a problem in Hellions? Like,
also, we saw the mansion. It was like overrun and it had like living creatures in it and stuff like that. Remember that giant size X-Men that was like $150?
But like, you know what I mean? I'm like, why would their stuff be there? They all live on an island, right?
Well, because like, I don't need that stuff anymore. The island provided.
Right. But I'm like,
I'm not going to need my pants anymore on Krakoa. I'm having sex all the time.
Right. But again, like, this is not worth giving them a hard time. I'm just like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're like, I have to make the mansion a hero.
Yes, I have to make it. Well, I have to make it a triumphant moment where we are going to go back to the mansion, but I'm going to, instead of just having it triumphantly open the first issue and then you're not going to care, I'll build you towards them retaking the mansion.
Yeah, like, we're gonna get rid of all their rooms, make them cells, burn down Cerebro. I love that dude next to this woman who's like, I can't
burn this. All made of metal.
Do you know how burning works?
Right.
And it's fine. Again, like, I get it. I get what you're doing. Like, I'm gonna give you a heart-wrenching sequence with like a child who's dying.
Yeah, which is a really well done sequence.
It is a well done sequence, except there's like two things. Here are my notes. A, if you're gonna make it in a world where like no one likes them, make it so that like the hospital staff has to smuggle them in.
Right. Yeah.
So that they are doing this heroically because it's like, no, we like the parents want them to be there.
We're going to risk arrest.
Yeah.
To make this kid's last day.
Yeah. Or like, you know, or whatever. Right. Also, like, Rogue at no point thinks that she killed the kid.
No.
Kid touched her.
I know.
She's not wearing the thing.
I know.
I was like, she wasn't like, I killed the kid.
Right. No.
I killed the kid.
Yeah. Nope. That's not in there.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. But again, that's there because it's like, we want you to make want you to guys to feel like these guys are heroes. And it works 100%.
It definitely works on the internet.
Hit me over the head.
Yeah.
Like,
where you're like, I get what you're doing. I only see the strings. I'm not enjoying it.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Or
I enjoyed it.
I mean, I enjoyed the puppet show, but it is a puppet show though.
That's what I felt like. And that was the problem. I was like, I still enjoyed it, and I still had a good time.
I'm very aware that I'm reading a comic book right now.
I don't believe Rogue can control her powers. I thought that they didn't.
They seem to, because she's touching people left and right in this book, and I was like, but they didn't really contextualize it. And
yeah,
I don't know.
didn't remember that being a thing. I thought she had in on Krakoa.
Mm-hmm.
They used I thought it was like a device of some sort. And maybe
Yeah.
she still has that. I don't know.
I don't know.
But anyway, but I was like, that would have been a nice thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But regardless of that, that doesn't take away unless you're just trying to cut me down from what I'm talking about, and that's fine too. But that sequence again is written so that you get that feeling. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, like we're like it was so over the top.
Yes,
And I have no problem with that because
it's a comic book.
it's a comic book, and these
It's heightened reality. We're supposed to do
exactly. It's like, what did this book want to do? One, make you want the mansion back. Two, show you big action by fighting a big snake.
Oh, and give you a couple of fan favorite characters as the protagonists.
Yeah, exactly. 3, give you the fact that they're heroic by showing you deal with like a kid, and then 4, give you the call to action by the end.
Yes.
And like maybe that's what it was for me. Is that like more than often than not when I'm reading through the books, I'm just reading the books.
Mhm.
But it's like this one for me, I was like, I can see you working through this.
You can see the strings.
Yeah.
Definitely. I do. But you gotta admit that Mr. Bloom moment in the woods is pretty cool.
It is a little wet, but like, yeah, no, it is very cool. It's very like, it is.
I was like, oh, whoa, we're doing horror too.
But, like, you're acting like I didn't enjoy the book.
No,
and
I'm
I
just
just
saying,
keep saying, like, I love the art is great.
Yes.
I think the book looks really, really good.
Yeah, doesn't it?
You know, I think it's interesting that they're making such a big deal about like Wolverine wanting to be on this team when Wolverine's gonna have his own book, which means that Wolverine's gonna be like, I gotta go do my own thing.
He has 2 other books, but yes.
But that's like always him, right? Like that's Wolverine. He's like, I'm on this team. Yes, yes. Also, could everyone get away from me? I kind of do my own solo book for a minute while I'm also. It's just so funny.
Yeah. Well, he like doesn't want to be near Cyclops. It's just like, okay, again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It could be that maybe it wasn't Wolverine, and they were like, and Brevoort was like, no.
Yeah, maybe
it has to be Wolverine.
No. I like it. I like these like 3 together. You know,
they're
like,
fun, and they're a fine dynamic.
Yeah,
I suppose they didn't bring anything out of me. I was just more like, it was fun to watch, but it was like.
But the reason I think Wolverine obviously needs to be here too is because obviously they're hinting at the idea that Jubilee will be joining.
Yes,
you know what I mean, and like
based on that preview,
and clearly based on everyone's outfits and the way they talk and the way they act,
and the typeface,
they're making you think X-Men 97. They want you to think that, and so like even if Jubilee will clearly move on to become an Omega level mutant, you know, Wolverine and her dynamic, they probably want to play with a little bit. You know what I mean? Definitely. Like the fact that like, you know, she's grown up, she's, you know, not just a ride-along character anymore. So it's like, it makes sense for Wolverine to be on this team for sure. No, I think they're going to do a lot of good stuff with this, and I will keep reading this book. It was just funny for me. This was like one of the first times where it's like, you know, literally speaking, like I'm not the one who analyzes books in that way. It's Sal, but this was the time where it was like I could see the strings.
Yes.
And it was weird.
Yes. It is. Yeah.
It was just weird. Like
I welcome to being a fan of something, because that's what I see with Spider-Man all the time.
Yeah, and like occasionally there was like some clunky dialogue here and there. There's a couple of one-liners that for me just didn't hit.
No, well, like, and they were deliberately meant to.
Yeah. But otherwise, like, yes, we all know I love Rogue and Gambit. I love Rogue. She's one of my favorites. Like Rogue and Storm. If it was like a Rogue and Storm book, they're just them going on adventures together, I'd be like, you know.
Ironically, neither of us read Avengers, which had Storm on Jed McKay's book. But I just had to skip it. I didn't have time.
No, that's
and it's a good thing because we're trying to wrap up.
No, that's fair. That's fair. You know, but like I love Rogue, right? And we've seen Rogue come a long way.
I like Simone's voice for Rogue.
I do too, but it's also really weird for me. And this is why I felt like this would be great divorced from Krakoa for me.
Oh yeah. Like
obviously we need it because they need to be in this situation. You know, we need you know, all the pieces to be where they are for this story to come into being. But like we saw Rogue, you know, helping with the whole manifold thing. We've seen Rogue, you know, not necessarily take control of a team, but be in a position, obviously, with her husband to be like, we need to do this, this, and this. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting for me to see her kind of go backwards.
Well, because the whole damn line has to go backwards.
Yeah. So like, I'm like, that's so like, but that's why I'm like, but it's not a bad story. It's just weird to like some of these things coming off of this isn't like quite the. Like
this is not a victory lap. This is like,
but it's still a good story.
It's a good story, yeah.
It's just a weird connection, and I think the further we get away from the connection, the better it's gonna feel.
Oh, certainly
for everyone. But like, it's a great story. Again, like The art is so good. I love, for some reason, I don't know who the reference is.
Who this guy is.
I don't know it. I don't know who. But I loved this. This person's real.
Yeah.
Like I don't know who this man is. I want to meet him in real life.
Yeah.
Look at how like kind he looks.
Yes.
I love this panel is like a hard stop for me. I was like, look at him.
Look at this man.
Look at this man. I love him.
Yeah.
I love
for
this
me,
man.
I was a big fan of just the panel to panel of Rogue and how consistent she was.
Oh,
and
yeah.
how like
She's crazy.
We see every emotion.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. Crazy consistent for sure.
Yeah. And I
For
really
sure.
like that Mr. Bloom panel. I was like, that's cool.
Well, obviously it's not maybe not Mr., but yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, oh hey, remember Sweet Tooth?
Yeah.
But
Well,
okay.
yeah, and like maybe there's just gentle, little nods.
Little nods and references
to
yeah, it's
things.
fine.
But yeah, I think the book is gorgeous looking. Absolutely.
Yep.
Again, like we're handling heroic, we're handling horror elements, we're handling all sorts of things. It was just so weird for me to be on the side of like, you're trying to make me feel this way.
Yeah. I can
Yeah.
feel what you're doing. I know what you're aware. I'm very aware of what you're doing.
Yeah.
But what's the book of the week?
Ooh, that's a great question. There's a lot of great books this week.
Yeah.
I think someone had asked earlier if I read the Power Fantasy, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Old Boy Black Panther, and I
Oh,
always
yeah.
want it to be the book of the week. And
Mhm.
I think if it hadn't, but Absolute was so good.
Mhm.
Absolute too, but I think it was Power Fantasy.
Oh, that's fair.
New #1, Kieran Gillen, and again, like feeling pretty like not quite X-Men, but
Yeah.
like Kieran still playing in that world a little bit,
Yeah,
and the art for that,
Absolutely.
Wynyard.
Yes. Maybe.
Art, maybe I don't know. It's just so stunning. I loved that book. That's a book where I'm like, I wish that was just I wish the graphic novel was out.
Yeah.
I just want the trade. I just want to read the rest of that. So I think it's that one.
Right? I mean, Spider-Man Black Suit and Blood had my two favorite Spider-Man authors in it.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man Reign 2 #2 is my book of the week. What the hell? What a weird book. I loved it. I was just like, yeah, every page. I'm like, what? So I'm giving it to it. I'm going to give it its flowers because it's so weird. Because we did a whole like 2-hour episode of back issues where we talk about how crappy it is. No, I'm loving this.
Okay.
So weird.
Such a weird place to be.
I know. What I'd love to see, and it's just I'm not gonna do it, but like if someone could go back and find out when we started doing book of the week and show us all the books of the week that we did, I'd like to know because I want it to be like, and then one of them picked Spider-Man Reign 2 #2. Like that was one of your weeks, but like just
I don't want to see that.
it's just gonna be Helena Winhorn, Hellblazer, Helena Winhorn, Hellblazer, Helena Winhorn, Blazer. Yeah.
No one wants to see me do it like that.
But let's jump into some super chats before we recommend some comics that are coming out this week. Chocobo Kid, yay, the duo is back together in the same room. Yes, I'm done with my COVID. Hooray. Thank you. Cat
I think that we were beating around the bush about what you have. We're like, Sal's sick.
Yeah, no.
And we can't be in the same space.
Yeah, and we can't be in the same space. Cat Loyal Friend for Treats. I don't know what I expected from What If Donald Duck was Logan, but it wasn't a retelling of Old Man Logan and certainly didn't expect to laugh out loud. Yeah, I know. It's funny. We ran into Jason Aaron. Actually, we interviewed him and we didn't put it out, but we should have. But we interviewed Jason Aaron, and at one point he's so proud of that. Oh wait, he was doing Donald Duck. He was doing Scrooge. I don't remember if he wrote that What If book.
Excuse me, he's doing Scrooge McDuck. Those are two different ducks. Know your ducks.
No, he's doing Scrooge. Yeah, I'm sorry. Donald Duck was Logan. That's not him. Hogzilla, happy Monday. Glad to see Sound Good Health again and our favorite power couple together again.
Oh, thank you so much.
Bryce Harriet, hey guys. Tiffany, thanks for getting me into Gillen.
Yay! You're
I know,
welcome.
right?
You're welcome.
Ryan Garcia, which series from DC All In / Absolute DC are you most looking forward to? Love the show. We'll hang up and listen now. Thank you very much, Ryan. Honestly, with All In, I don't know what to expect, but I'm excited to see. I mean, that tomorrow we're dropping an episode of All Stars with me and Joshua Williamson. He gets into very deeply the All In flip book issue and how intricate it is, and you got to pick up that book. You got to pre-order it and grab it. It's going to be amazing.
I know what I'm most interested
but
in.
It's
Wonder Woman.
It's Wonder Woman.
Like,
I am as much as I love, and I love how good and crazy Absolute Batman looks, but I am
for all of your like negativity
Yeah.
or like cautiousness about
about
Dragota in the
Dragota.
room.
Yeah, I know.
You come around.
I did. Well, yeah,
I like that, but that's
it's great looking. Yeah.
I want to point that out.
Thank you.
Because
Yeah,
I think
because
that's really
it's like I'm not
important.
intransigent. I do have opinions that change
I
because
want-
I'm an adult human being.
But I want people to like be okay with that, just even in their own lives, where
Yeah.
it's like a-okay.
Exactly. But yeah, man, it's Wonder Woman. I can't wait.
You want to?
Lataro Medina, hello, Sal and Tiff. Congrats on Terminator news. So, how long do we have to wait until Marvel calls you for Predator on a pirate ship backups? Let me tell you something, man. I mean, no. Marvel's never going to hire me, especially for how many opinions I've shared about them. But yes, Terminator #1 goes on sale October 9th. Pick it up, pre-order it, check it out. I'm doing a backup.
It's too bad that Krakoa is over, because your backup for Predator on a pirate ship could have been Marauders.
Yeah, Marauders versus Predator.
Yeah, where it's like most of the crew is gone, and it's like Kitty.
Kitty
it's
versus
referencing.
Oh, that Christmas episode or issue right after Days of Future Past.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. Yeah, that would have been great. What a great pick. That's your book. That's your book now. But yeah, man, Terminator's coming. If Marvel wants to do if Marvel wants to make $1 billion off of a backup of Predator, call me. Honestly, though, I think because Josh and I did break that story in an episode of All Stars, like we did write Predator on a pirate ship.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we got to get all three of us. Me, Tom, and Josh. We'll all write Predator on a. I would do that. Me, Josh, and Tom. We get together and we do Predator. Like we just take over Predator and then we'll just trade off, or we'll all work together to do one Predator.
I like that idea, because like you and Josh will really focus on a lot of the Predator and the action, and Tom can explain to us why the character who's having to deal with the Predator is so sad.
Yes. And it's not, I don't spoilers, but it has nothing to do with being hunted by an alien from beyond the stars.
100%.
Glass Man, Absolute Power #2 made me realize that even though I prefer an ensemble Avengers, I love half the DCU being Justice Leaguers. Also, who's Airwave? Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I was like, was Airwave invented for the story? I don't know. I'm sorry. But yeah,
we
I
were
love
all
it.
Mr. Terrific in that moment.
Exactly. Who are you again? I will say, though, if you like that idea, then you should check out Justice League Unlimited, coming from Mark Waid and the All In Initiative, because everyone's a Justice Leaguer. Blended Time. Hey, guys, I picked up Uncanny this week and enjoyed it, but I'm lacking a lot of context. Looking to delve into X-Men. Any recommendations? Lots of love. I mean, like, dude, I don't know if I could help you with that. Honestly, like, you just pick up whatever you think is cool or what sounds neat or what appeals to you. You know, like if you want a like contextless X-Men initiative and read like 100 issues, just pick up Age of Apocalypse.
Well, if depending on what you're looking for, because if you're looking for like to learn a little bit more specifically about Rogue and Gambit, I would go back and pick up Rogue and Gambit and Mr. and Mrs. X.
They're Kelly Thompson books, right?
Yes, but I think that'll help to give you a little context for the two of them.
That's very true.
Rolling into this, if we're focusing a lot on Rogue right now, which again, each issue, I'm wondering if we'll have different context. Like if we're gonna like get that free comic book day scene where we're like focusing on Jubilee, right, and then like maybe we'll focus on, if we do decide to pull Kitty into this, like on her, you know what I mean? Like it might be like each issue has a different narrator,
right?
But like I just love those books too, so I just want to pimp them out.
Spider-Man Black, White, and Blood was quite lacking in the blood. Yeah, that's fair. Bear Farmer loved Dick's "excuse me, gentlemen" moment in this week. Yes, great moment from Absolute Power. He also goes on to say, just want to say how happy I am that Absolutely is back. Something about you all reviewing movies and comics and TV is special to me. Thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. Marvel and DC, the channel is back, and we're not going to all be on the same show every time. I know for a fact there's going to be another episode where I think it's just Hassan and Andy talking about House of the Dragon, but then there's going to be another one with just me and Andy next week talking about Alien.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Chris Check, as a legally blind person, bigger is always better when it comes to comics. That's why I'm still all digital despite Amazon's damage to the format.
Yeah.
Great way to put that. It's very true. Matt Levy, thank you very much for your support.
Thank you.
Thorn Identity. Oh, dear God. Sound Tiffany is my anger. Or Sound Tiffany are my anger translators. Thank you very much, man. Yes, it's true.
You corrected yourself later on.
No, I saw that.
The super chat was gone.
I completely forgot about that. Cat Lawyer Old Time for Treats. Those minties look a lot like the Marvel minis. Yes, look a lot like the Marvel DC collab for international market in South Asia called Gotham Comics. Spider-Man India came from those. They were cheap and smaller, made lifelong fans out of it.
Nice.
Honestly, there's so many initiatives that like made fans from just like an odd or like money-saving initiative. I wish that Marvel and DC tried more of these things. Lataro Medina, Power Fantasy was great. I think its inspiration comes from works like The Wildstorm. Every character is basically Henry Bendick's compliment.
I can see that.
Yeah, The Wildstorm. What a crazy book. The Jade Sentinel. What is your thoughts on the One World Under Doom? I don't have any idea. I don't know if I have that yet.
No, I don't think I have enough information to do that. I think my thoughts are like, I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I like Doom. I think it's just like, there'll be an initiative or something.
Yeah.
Like Typical Spider. Hey guys, got a promotion this week and and get to come home to Off the Rack. Thank you, man.
Gosh, congratulations. That's incredible.
Love hanging out
Enjoy
with
it.
you guys and this community on Monday. Sal, I'm so happy for you and wish you good luck with Terminator. Thanks, guys. ComicPop. Thank you very much.
Woo!
Spider. Yeah,
Again,
hopefully.
super congratulations.
Yes, exactly. You got that promotion. Good for you, man. You earned that shit. Okay, thank you for your generosity, by the way. Neon Knight Rider, are you both keen enough to spot 3D asset artwork? Does it bother you when it's used? Obviously, all hand-drawn hand inks on paper is the best. It depends on the interpretation. I mean, like, I have seen it both ways. I prefer drawn. I understand the labors and efforts that go into that. And sometimes it's more seamless than others. I mean, even your favorite books, like in Amazing Spider-Man, the debut of Venom, drawn by Todd McFarlane, he did photocopied images of photos of Manhattan skyline and just like paste them on the page and then put a Spider-Man over it. And it looks weird. You know, like some of your favorite older books did that stuff. There's Spider-Man Gen 13. Imminent just puts a picture, just a photo of a Marriott in there. And it's just like, what? So I don't know, man. It's tough. But I don't really... I'm certainly that is not where I draw the line.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Bear Farmer Batman versus Bizarre was dumb but fun. I agree. Cam Andrews feels more like McFarlane than McFarlane at times. More books like this or a solid run of his own, and he could be a generational Spidey artist. Honestly, I mean, like, I don't know. I wonder because, like, I feel like, you know, like he's approximating / interpreting and, you know, presenting a version of what he loves and remembers. But is that him then? You know, is he just inspiring people to go check out McFarlane, or is he inspiring people to be a Kari Andrews fan? He does great. He does great work.
Yeah.
Hrishi Venkatesh, I missed the start. Has Tiffany read Power Fantasy?
Yes,
she has.
It's the book of the week.
Yeah.
For me.
Danby 900, Aliens vs. Avengers on Wednesday, and Alien Romulus on Thursday. I'm incredibly excited for both. I just got over having COVID for the first time. Book of the week list, you say, challenge Texas. Yeah, accepted.
Hopefully you all is well, and
yes.
and you're on the mend.
Yes, exactly. I genuinely hope that your experience is uneventful and quick. And thank you. Yes. KB512. Hi, I've been listening for a while, but I haven't commented and wanted to donate. DC has started their own version of Marvel Epic called DC Finest.
Oh,
yes, I've heard of it, and I haven't seen it in the wild yet, but I'm excited to see that. I'm glad they're doing it. It's about time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes, I heard about that. I remember that being a thing. But yeah, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So as to our recommendations this week,
what do we got?
Ultimate Spider-Man number 8 is coming out. Holy crap, that's quick. Nightwing 117, Batman Superman World's Finest number 30, Superman number 17, Wonder Woman number 12. These are all great books that I read on the regular, and I will enjoy them immensely. Wolverine Revenge, Red Band Edition number 1 is coming out, and I
think you're too far ahead.
Am I too far ahead?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Cancel everything.
Disregard all of 2 weeks from now's books or next week's books, because those are exciting. In this one, The Ultimates number 3 is coming out. Transformers 11. I need to catch up on this book significantly. There's a Wolverine annual. I'll probably at least glance at it. Batman and Robin 12 is a really fun series that you should be reading, although Josh is leaving that book soon. Let's see here.
Gotham by Gaslight.
Gotham by Gaslight. Okay, so I got to check that out. I got to go see how Gotham by Gaslight is going. I was not thrilled with the first issue, but I hear it picks up. From the DC Vault, Death in the Family, Robin Lives, number 2 from JMD. Worth checking out. Venom War Spider-Man. I saw a preview of one of them. I don't know if this is the Greg Land book or if it's from the actual Venom War, but there's one of them I got to read.
It looks like it.
I know I see him on the cover. No, it's Greg Land. Never mind. I retract my recommendation. I cannot sanction his buffoonery.
Did I close it? No, I didn't. I
Let's
Are you going to
see.
be reading DC versus Vampires World War V?
Hell no. I also will be checking out. Let's see here. I know that Avengers Aliens is coming. I don't know. I don't see it here. Is it here?
No.
Okay, no. It's not dropping this week. What a shame. Barfly from the World of Minor Threats number 2 is coming out. I enjoyed the first issue. I'll see how the second issue fares. And I believe that's it.
Okay. I wanted to know who's on that annual.
Salvador LaRocca.
No. It's
Ezra
Daniels.
Yeah, Ezra Daniels.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Well, I was wondering.
Yeah,
I was like, who is it?
Yeah.
All right. So I am going to check out X-Men #2. I said I would.
You did.
I said I was going to give it another shot. Jed McKay, Ryan Stegman. Let's see what they got going this week. It's going to be a big make or break for me in terms of this series.
Oh yeah.
X
Factor
Factor is also coming out this week. X Factor's not been X Factor was a hard sell for me, even during Krakoa.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't love it. I just don't love what the team does necessarily, but I'll give it a try. Mark Russell, Bob Quinn. If I end up not sticking with this book, it has nothing to do with the quality of the book. It's just, I've just not usually been an X Factor fan.
That's
so
fair,
like,
yes.
don't take that personally, anybody. Vengeance of the Moon Knight #8 is coming out this week. Jed McKay, art this time by Dev Premanik. Let's see what's going on with Moon Knight. I don't think we had a chance to talk about the last one.
No, the Blood Hunt tie-in.
So we'll just kind of,
blend them together.
We'll go over that. We'll review.
Yes.
Everyone, don't worry, don't worry.
Helverine?
Helverine #4. I'm getting there.
All right, sorry.
Helverine #4 is coming out this week. Of course, it's Ben Percy, Julius Ota on art. This is it. This is we had the penultimate issue. We'll see what happens with Helverine and what Wolverine did to him. Presumably, there's another Werewolf by Night coming out.
Neat.
I think it has a red band on it.
It does.
It's polybagged for your protection.
Oh, good.
Well, because he's a werewolf.
Yeah, protect me
from my lycanthropy. I might have to check that out though, just because Werewolf by Night randomly gets books, and sometimes I'm like,
neat.
I think I'm a fan. Sometimes.
Mostly because Elsa Bloodstone shows up in some of them, and you're like, oh boy.
Yeah, listen, if that could happen more often, I would be here for it for certain.
I understand.
If you do want, I'm not necessarily the world's biggest Ultraman fan, but Ultraman X Avengers is coming out this week. It's written by Kyle Higgins with art by and Matt Groom, excuse me, with art by Francesco Manna. But I just feel like we have a few Ultraman fans in the chat.
We
so
do.
I want to make sure I give you a reminder that you should grab yours this Wednesday when it comes out. I was like, what do comics come out? I guess that's kind of it.
Yeah.
For me. I don't know.
I think you're right.
Does DC's House of Secrets have Beetlejuice on it?
Yeah, they're doing Beetlejuice variants to promote Beetlejuice coming out.
Okay. Thank you. That really
There's a Batman 89 sequel also with like Batman and Beetlejuice on the cover.
Oh, okay.
Because Tim Burton.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
We want
some fun stuff coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Typical Spider says, did you guys watch Umbrella Academy at all? Seasons 1 through 3 were pretty great. 4 and final were pretty disappointing.
Oh,
excited to read more of the books though.
Definitely check out some of the books. And no, we did not watch it.
Yeah, we did not. I think you watched a little bit of it, but not enough to say you actually watched it.
I think that's true.
Yeah. But hey, we want to thank you so much for watching. Thank you to our super chatters for sponsoring today's show. Thank you to our audience for being cool and awesome and respectful in the comments. And of course, we'll see you guys next week with another episode. But make sure to check out more, because tomorrow we're dropping an episode of All Stars with me and Joshua Williamson. We're trying out something interesting. We're going to do a regular cover and then another like kind of weird cover to try things out. Want to see if that helps in any way.
Okay.
So if you
be on the lookout for it.
Yeah, so be on the lookout. Know that it comes out tomorrow. So if you didn't see it, maybe you did, and the covers whizzed past you. But check that out, of course. And of course, Tiffany is playing video games on usually Tuesdays and Wednesdays on twitch.tv/ComicPop and youtube.com/@ComicPop Plays. All links for everything like that is in the description below every video we make. So if you're ever like, oh, I want to see Tiffany's streams, but I don't remember the link, and I can't remember ComicPop Plays, just go into any video and just look down, and I promise every link you need, including an invitation to our Discord, which is free and open for everybody to join, is all in the description. So we want to thank you so much for being here, and thank you to Tiffany for being on this show. We'll see you guys next time with another episode here on ComicPop Returns. I'm Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye, everybody.
Bye.